YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with my NFL Week 8 score predictions, predicting the score of every single game every week. And we take a look at the lines. If you want more score predictions, you can get the current leader, Junior. His score predictions are already on the Patreon for this week, and they'll be up there for every single week. If you sign up for that tier, you get updated playoff predictions and updated NFL mock drafts every single week. And there's plenty more, so a lot going on there. Patreon.com/the Goat House. There's a link towards the top of the description. Go check it out for more info. Subscriber goal, it's at 40K. Get us there. We'd appreciate it very much. Full NFL content, all kinds of different picks, score predictions, recaps, power rankings, all kinds of content here at the Goat House. So please subscribe. But this week's score predictions for Week 8. There's quite a few games that are pretty, we think should be pretty clear cut. You never know in today's NFL. But then there's a few games that are real tight, real hard to pick. We'll break it down here. The first game's Thursday night game. One of those ones we think should be pretty simple. I've been a Vikings fan for a long time, and any other Vikings fans will know what I mean by when I say that this will be a total Vikings move to lose this game. Primetime game, and then Kirk Cousins hasn't been good in primetime either, but people kind of put it on Kirk Cousins a little too much. As long as I've been a Vikings fan, they kind of blown primetime games as well. So, and we'll see if that happens here or if it's just been a coincidence. But I can see it. But at the end of the day, they're just so much better than the Redskins, and they're at home. Tough place to play, obviously, maybe one of the tougher places to play. There's really no reason why. They just have to win this game. There's no excuses here, even if Thielen's out. So I got them winning 27-13. Don't have him covering the spread, although pretty close. It's Dalvin Cook. It's his game. If you can't pass the ball because Thielen's out, maybe the Redskins got a game plan to double up Diggs. I even seen the Seahawks triple team him last year at one point. You can still run the ball with Dalvin Cook, and that's the difference from last year to this year's Vikings team. But the Redskins do have Keenum, and they do have Adrian Peterson, who are out for some revenge. I know Kirk Cousins is. So maybe, it wouldn't shock me totally, if Adrian Peterson had himself a day. But will it be enough to win in today's NFL? I don't think so. I got the Vikings here as, I think everyone else does as well. 14-point win. Next game, Seahawks at Falcons. It's tough. It's tough right now here on a Wednesday. We do this video every Wednesday because we don't know if Matt Ryan's playing. He has not practiced yet, but Dan Quinn's pretty confident that he'll play. Either way, I like the Seahawks, but obviously the score changes a bit. It's 3.5 right now. So Vegas, I'd say, the boys over there at Vegas have to be thinking Matt Ryan's playing by that 3.5 spread, So I got the Seahawks winning by 10. I think they have a bounce back game after that Ravens game. I think Chris Carson runs the ball very well for most of the game. Really, the Seattle Seahawks run the ball very well, do what they know best there, and then it opens up the passing game, which they're best at, and they'll have no problem against the Falcons defense. So I got them putting up 30 points. And the Falcons, if Matt Ryan plays, obviously they can get a little more offensive game going, but the big problem with the Falcons is they start off down. Other than the obvious, the obvious is their defense really struggles. But specifically they start off down, so they only can throw, and they don't really have too much of a run game to scare people with. So that's kind of the problem right now. We'll see who plays at quarterback, but I got the Seahawks winning 30-20 in this one. We definitely keep an eye on who's the quarterback for the Falcons because things can change there. Next game, we got the Eagles and the Bills. This is one of those good ones. Now, we're finally to one of those ones that's a toss-up. It's tough to pick. I've done a pretty good job picking this year, and I'm taking the Eagles on this one. I like them winning 23-21. I've been 100% on Eagles games up until last week. I took the Eagles last week, and that's embarrassing because they got embarrassed, really. So, no longer 100% on Eagles games, but my point is I'm pretty accurate on them, but this is a tough one. This is a real tough one. All the other ones the rest of the year were easier. Even last week, I was a little more confident in the Eagles last week than I am this week, and we see how that ended up. But I like the Eagles in this one. The difference than, the embarrassments that the Eagles had the last few weeks against the Vikings and the Cowboys. They've been a mess on defense, but they didn't know, if their opposing team was running the ball or passing the ball, very unpredictable teams, especially when you got Dalvin Cook and Zeke, who they got to go against, very unpredictable offenses, and your game plan is to stop everything. You have to stop everything. The Bills aren't as threatening on offense as those two teams, mainly because the talent, youth, at quarterback, and they don't have much of a run game, kind of what I'm getting at, looking at the Cowboys and the Vikings. And that is kind of the difference for me. I think the Eagles get enough offense going. You can see the Bills' defense really, really good, but you can see it's somewhat vulnerable. I'm thinking the reason I come up with 23, I'm thinking a lot of field goals. I think the Eagles would be able to, push the ball somewhat easily for going against a good defense into the territory of the Bills, but maybe won't be able to execute in the red zone. But I think it'll be enough. I know this Eagles defense is very rough. I just don't trust the Bills offense, fully yet. So they need to go out and show me it here. But I got the Eagles, and they're plus 1.5, so that's looking pretty good. But again, that's one of those ones where it's a complete toss-up. Next game is the Chargers and the Bears. Another one of those games where it's so tough to pick. If you watched our straight-up picks on that last game, Eagles and Bills, it was split. 3 people picked one person picked the other, and the same thing happened here. So I got the Chargers winning 24-20. It's a tough one because it's in Chicago. If it was in LA, I'd be pretty darn confident in the Chargers. But being in Chicago, and they know they have to turn things around. Nagy knows that they have to turn things around. So I think the play calling and maybe some play designs could change a little bit. That sounds like a good thing, but you never really know. Could have changed for the better. They haven't run the ball enough, and now I'm a little worried they can go overboard. They can go from one extreme to another. The Chargers have been, barely losing games. I know the Steelers, when they got down early, they were able to come back. Why? I think they were able to come back not because it was garbage time, but because really I think they're actually the better team. They just start off so sloppy. Another reason they kind of been losing is because they haven't been using Eckler as much as they should be. He's the total package. He's the weapon for them, maybe their best weapon. Running the ball, catching the ball in the backfield. This Bears run defense without Akeem Hicks has really struggled. It is, plummeted to, I believe, a bottom 10 run defense. And with Akeem Hicks, they're an elite run defense. So I think the Chargers will be able to run the ball. They move the ball pretty well against the Titans. 20 points is a good amount against the Titans. So with this beat-up Bears defense that, really struggled the last couple weeks, I think the Chargers can move the ball. I really do. And kind of looking at the quarterbacks, that was kind of the difference, too. There's a big difference in quarterback play. Russell Okung's coming back from for the Chargers. That's big time for them. And, we'll see if Melvin Ingram plays. I think I would predict that he does at this point, but still up in the air. Melvin Ingram is the glue to that defense. So I do like the Chargers here, 24-20, and they're +4. So that one's looking pretty good there. But it's another one of those toss-up games. The Giants and the Lions, I think closer than you think. Maybe you see +7 for the Giants. They only lose by 3. But I got the Lions winning by 3 still. Eliminating the run game pretty much by taking Kerryon Johnson out. I mean, that's what you're doing. The Giants don't have to worry about stopping the run too much. They can focus, on stopping the pass. But the Giants really struggle stopping the pass. If the Lions had a running game that was threatening, I think they would score well into the 30s in this game. But because they don't, still a pretty good game here with 27 points. The Lions defense has looked good this year, but looked a little vulnerable last week. So I think Saquon can get going in this one, which could open things up for Daniel Jones. Not a whole bunch of points, obviously 24, but I got the Lions winning by 3 points here. The lack of a running game could be a big problem for the Lions going forward. We will see. And I do worry a little bit because I guess the defensive players, or mainly the players in the locker room, aren't happy with the Diggs trade, Quandre Diggs. So we'll see if that affects them on the field at all, too. So another strange one to look out for, maybe. The Bucs and the Titans, I got the Bucs winning 28-20. Another one of those toss-up games people are kind of split on. I'm surprised the Bucs are +2.5 in this one. I like the Bucs in this game. I guess it's for matchup reasons, but there's a gut feeling there that the Bucs are going to come off the bye. And the good Bucs team is going to show up. We've seen them. It's almost like every other week or every few weeks you see a Bucs team that almost looks like I don't want to say a playoff team, but yeah, maybe close. I mean, when they scored 55 points in the Rams, that's ridiculous. And then you get this Bucs team that just looks like one of the worst teams in the league. So which Bucs team are we going to get? I'm thinking with Arians in the bye week. Get everyone rested. I think good things happen here. I think good things happen. You look at the matchup too. The Bucs, even though I'm not a fan of their defense. Their run defense is actually pretty darn solid. So they'll stop Derrick Henry, which will force the Titans to pass. And then the Buccaneers got a pretty solid pass rush. I kind of, I like their secondary for the future, but I'd say right at this moment I kind of hate their secondary. But Tannehill, is he really, he looked good last week, but is he really going to beat them, especially with the pressure coming at him? Because the offensive line for the Titans has been a little rough this year. I know Taylor Lewan kind of getting his groove back since coming back from, after a 4-week suspension, so that could be the difference too. But I like the Bucs because Titans, another reason would be the Titans got a good defense, but the Bucs are going to score some points on you either way. They're going to find out how to score some points, and the question is, can the Titans offense keep up? I don't think it's magically fixed because Tannehill started 1 week. I don't think it's magically fixed. I do like this defense, like I said. Should be a good game. Just a lot of the reasons I explained point me to the direction of the Bucs here, and they're plus 2.5. I like a lot of these underdogs. It's making this week scary too. It's making it scary, but I like the Bucs in this one. The Broncos and the Colts, maybe a little closer than people think, 21-17. It's just which Colts team is going to show up. It looks like they're getting more consistent now. I don't know if they get a whole bunch of offense going in this game because I still like the Broncos defense. Don't love it, but it's still a solid defense. And then you look at the Colts defense. Which Colts defense is going to show up? I talk about that every week. You never know. They're pretty healthy now. You see Darius Leonard's back and balling at a pretty high level like he did last week. So that could be big time for them here in this game. To beat the Broncos, like the best way to beat the Broncos is getting constant pressure, which seems somewhat easy. But the Colts, in terms of their defensive pressure, that's another thing that's inconsistent. 1 week it looks real good, 1 week it's kind of non-existent. So a lot of question marks here, but at the end of the day, the better coach team and the better team, plain and simple, at home here, you got to go with them and the Colts. 21-17 Colts. You got their next game, 31-20 Rams over the Bengals. The Rams will have no problem scoring in this game, whether it's the game plan is run or pass. Like, it really doesn't matter to me. They'll have no problem scoring. The Bengals, maybe they score a little more points than people expect. That their offensive line's been a little rough this year. Joe Mixon can't do anything. Some blame goes to him. A lot of the blame goes to the offensive line. Every week I think I say it, though. I think he finally can get something going here like he has to. But he kind of never does. And could this be the week? That's kind of the question. Tyler Boyd's been kind of quiet. He's been solid for them, but I think he can start picking up. I think the offense, 20 points is kind of a lot from what the Bengals have been doing. It's not really a lot in general. I think they can kind of show some signs of offense in this game, but still lose by 11 points here because the Rams are home. They're rolling after that Falcons win. They got a lot of momentum, energy is what I mean by that, and they're just a better team here. Next game is the Cardinals and the Saints. Yeah, just heard that Drew Brees is actually expected to play. I did not expect that until after the bye week. I heard reports, the other day. I wasn't really buying it, but look at that. He's supposed to play. Nothing's final yet. I got them winning 27-17. You can't expect a whole bunch from Drew Brees, especially right away. There's some people that think there's going to be, the Saints have been maybe the best team in football up there, one of the best teams in football without Drew Brees. What are they going to be like with him? And people kind of act like it's going to be this ginormous, difference. I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference. Obviously Drew Brees is better than Teddy Bridgewater, but obviously they get better. But what can we expect right away? We really don't know. He's been sitting out, and then the thumb injury scares me. Like, how will he be? Sometimes we see guys come back from injury, and they're not really the same, especially when it's his throwing hand. So that scares me a little bit. Not saying he's going to be bad at all. Obviously, he's Drew Brees, but I don't think they go wild here. The 27 points is good enough. Obviously, they'll score 27. Cardinals 17. Their offense has been rolling, but they haven't seen the Saints defense. I really like this defense. So a 10-point win, and then I look at the spread. It's a 10-point spread. So right on the dot there on that one. The Jets and the Jags. I got a 1-point game here. I got a 16-17. The Jags win by 1. Took a look at the Jags injury report. It's full of big time players. I'm sure most of them will play still, but that scared me a little bit. But bottom line, I just think it's a defensive game here. Minshew, the Minshew mania has calmed down a little bit. He's not as good as what he was showing right when he came in there, but he's still impressive. But I still like this Jets defense too. So I think a defensive game here. I don't think either quarterback plays terrible, but I don't think either one of them play that good. It's gonna be offensively. It's gonna be a Leonard Fournette versus Le'Veon Bell battle. That's what I'm assuming they go with there, which will run the clock. And again, I like both these defenses, so I think it'll be tight. I'm thinking, 1-point game around there. And the Jets are +6, so that's an interesting one too. If that bumps to 7, obviously that's a big difference if it goes to 7 because there is a chance they could lose by a touchdown. I just don't see any more than that, though, really. The next game, we got the Panthers and the 49ers, the game of the week. Very excited for this one. 20-17 Niners. I say a defensive game. Not a complete defensive game because 2017 is some points, but for the most part, I think there's defense. Both teams, it's similar to the Jags-Jets, except we got two really good teams here. That's the only difference. But it's similar in terms of good defenses and good running games. Both these teams' offenses, their identity is their running game. And their blocking has been, both offense lines have been pretty impressive, better than expected. But I think that's the difference in this one. You look at the two pass rushes. The Panthers are actually top of the league in sacks. The Niners are towards the top of the league in pressures. And then you look at those pass rushes going against the opposing team's offensive line. Even with the injuries, I trust the Niners' offensive line a little more. It's really been one of the more impressive offensive line, maybe the most impressive. Credit goes to the coaching staff and the scheme. Garoppolo has not been hit or pressured, that much at all, which leaves more opportunity for him to outplay a guy like Kyle Allen here, and that could be the difference. I even though that the Panthers are leading in sacks, I like the Niners pass rush a little more in this game. That should be an interesting battle. I also I like both the way both secondaries are playing, but I like the Niners a little more too at home. So in a tight game where the matchups are pretty even, you just kind of pick out where each team wins, and I think the Niners, especially at home, I kind of got to side with them more. But plus 5.5 is kind of a lot. I see 3-point difference in my score line, so it's close. But 5.5, I didn't expect it to be that much. I thought it'd be around where my score prediction was, around 3. So that's interesting. I can't wait for that game, though. It's going to be a big-time game. And the Browns and the Patriots, maybe a little closer than people expected here, 28-20. Really thought about this one. I actually think Nick Chubb can have a pretty good game in this one, better than expected, because you see the Patriots, number 1 defense right now. And the reason it's number 1 defense, a mixture of things. They're very well coached. They got a lot of chemistry. They got a good amount of playmakers. They got good players. But another thing is they kind of played a weaker offenses. Browns are going to be one of the better offenses they played, even though they're struggling. But I think the Patriots secondary is for real. It's the best secondary in football, no doubt. And that's why I don't think the Browns can get over the hump, like that 20-point mark, because Baker with his offensive line, he's not too accurate this year. He's throwing the wrong team. That's what the Patriots are best at right now. So I think they can run the ball well, but that'll get you, so far, because the Patriots are going to put up some points. But I think Chubb, I think he'll be able to run. He'll make people question the run defense of the Patriots a little bit. Still very good. But I still like the Patriots. The Patriots in this one, they're the best team in football right now, and they're home in this game. Tough task for the Browns, but we'll see. We'll see what Baker can do. True challenge. 13 is kind of a lot of points there, but it really matters how they start. I think they have to start running the ball, because if they start throwing and Baker throws a pick or two, and the Patriots, it can get ugly fast, and that's the problem. And that if it starts like that, the Patriots will cover that 13-point spread. But I think they got to get Nick Chubb going here. It's unfortunate they couldn't have Kareem Hunt back yet, because that would be fantastic for this game, to have like that duo there. Next game is the Raiders and the Texans. I think this will be a good game. I think this will be a really good offensive game. Raiders are plus 6.5. Again, if that bumps to 7, I like it that much more, because they could lose by a touchdown. I don't see any more. But this is going to be a shootout. This is going to be a shootout, in my opinion. 31-28. Not a whole bunch of defense in this one. If I had to pick a defense, I'm going to go with the Texans. If I had to pick a quarterback, I'm going to go with the Texans and go with Watson. So that's kind of the difference there. The reason the Raiders could win is because they have a pretty darn good run game that the Texans really don't have. So the Raiders can game plan to stop the pass, while the Texans have to game plan to stop both. So that argument sides with the Raiders, but being in Houston, like I said, I trust their defense a little more. I trust Watson a little more here. And it seems like even though they will lose a game here and there, they're at the same time, they look like they're getting better. And people won't see that because a loss pops up. I think they're getting better. That's kind of what I see. The coaching staff could be getting better. It's a coaching staff that I don't really trust, but it's getting better. The offensive line's getting better. I know Watson had somewhat of a rough game last game, but for the most part, you can see they're heading in the right direction. The Raiders looked pretty darn scary before that bye week. Maybe they knocked the rust off the bye week. They did play a very good Packers team. Similar matchup here. But Aaron Rodgers is on the field, but Watson's right there in terms of top tier quarterback play. So this is going to be a good one. You can argue both sides in this one, as you can see. I like the Texans, though, 31-28. Excited to watch that one for sure. Next game is the Packers and the Chiefs. 28-16 Packers here. I think they get a big lead, and, late the Chiefs can make it a little more interesting. It's kind of what I was feeling here. The Packers are -4. I don't know if that's enough there, so I'm kind of liking the Packers one there. The only, when I pick these, I try to find, kind of like I just did with the Raiders and the Texans, I try to find reasons the other team can win, and there's really only one for both sides of the ball for the Chiefs. Offensively, the Packers don't really have film on them. They don't really have a game plan because it's really a totally different offense with Matt Moore. Obviously, it's a lot worse, but they don't really have a game plan. They don't really know what to expect. Andy Reid, he's known to get a little fancy sometimes, And another running back, I keep saying, are they finally going to use Damian Williams? I think they're finally going to use Damian Williams this week. I keep saying that, and you would have to think with no Patrick Mahomes, you got to use Damian Williams in any way you can here. I think he's a better back than they think he is right now. I mean, he helped them a lot last year. So the game plan factor, look at the defensive side. The Chiefs' defense been super disappointing, especially the D-line, the pass rush. But you look at last week, they really got things going. And I know it was the Broncos, but it just looked like a different Chiefs team, regardless who they were lining up against. And in terms of the players' play, the energy that they had, but mainly, credit to Spagnuolo. I thought they were bringing some exotic blitzes in there, different things, different looks we haven't seen this year. So those could be the factors for the Chiefs. But those really aren't the greatest factors. The Packers are, the way these teams match up today, the Packers are better on offense, and they're better on defense, and they're hot. They're rolling. They got the momentum. Especially Rodgers. See him getting better in this offense. So I just don't see how the Packers could lose this game. But there are some reasons to believe in the Chiefs. Maybe if you're a Chiefs fan, it's the ones I just explained, but it's still a long shot. I like the Packers 28-16 here. I do worry about the Chiefs. I think maybe with the uniqueness of the offense can move the ball in the Packers territory. I just don't see them punching the ball in the end zone a whole lot. That's the main thing there. And then we got our last game. It's the Monday night game. Dolphins 14, Steelers 24. 14.5's a lot. I did not expect that much. I don't think the Steelers won by that much, but we'll see here. A 10-point win. I like the Steelers to pound the ball, run the ball up the middle. James Conner and Benny Snell. Please use Benny Snell. He looked great when he was able to come in that Chargers game. Jalen Samuel's still out, so it makes sense that he would play. I want them to use both of them. James Conner hasn't been getting too much going in the run game. Once the ball's in his hands, he's looked good, especially in the Chargers game. It's kind of odd. He's been better in the pass game than the run game for the most part. So I wouldn't mind in terms of, actual carries. I wouldn't mind a 50-50 split at this point, especially in a game like this against the Dolphins. I would love to see it, even if Benny Snell gets more. I'm not saying Benny Snell's better than James Conner in any way. It's just something that I would like to see in this game, get him going. It's a game you should win. And, maybe to throw the Dolphins off even more, throw your backup running back, your rookie running back in there and get him to play. I was a fan of Benny Snell at Kentucky, too, and in the draft. So I'm really looking forward to see if they use him. I would like them to. Then you got the Steelers, their front seven to throw in the mix. And that could really limit the Dolphins from scoring any more than this here. So, yeah, run the ball, rush the passer. That's the key right there. That's what the Steelers will do, on top of it being the key. And I think they'll do it pretty well. I just really want them to use Benny Snell. But that's a 10-point win for the Steelers. That's going to do it for my score predictions. Once again, if you want junior score predictions every week to kind of compare, maybe you're thinking about putting money on games, taking a look at the separate score predictions, you go to our Patreon. You get those every week. You also get playoff predictions every week with Super Bowl picks and updated mock drafts every week. And there's plenty more on there, bonus videos, all this other great content. So check it out. Link in the description. Please subscribe. We're trying to get to that 40K goal, so I appreciate you very much if you can help us out and subscribe. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.